All right, welcome back to another episode of Sky U Pod, brought to you by Big Banter. Audience, it's been a minute. Not gonna lie, life hit us right in the groin, but we're doing good. Shooty's a dad. I think I mentioned that. I think it's Shooty's first time back on since being a dad, though. So another member of Sky U Pod will be contributing his thoughts very soon. I went to Mexico, honeymoon. It was good. Uh, Max, what'd you do?
Nothing.
Yeah. So we were all really busy, and but now we're here. Michigan won the national championship. Just kind of quickly recap everything that happened. Gophers won the bowl game. Very sorry we were late on that. Listen, folks, it was great to see us play again. It was Bowling Green. Cut us some slack. We wanted to get a show out. I said we would on the last episode we put out. Sorry. But we did pretty much, I think, what everyone thought we were going to do, which was run Darius Taylor a lot. Um, it worked. We avenged the loss to Bowling Green from a couple years ago. That's something PJ can put behind him now and rest easy. And then, fellas, we made some important hires. We have two new coordinators. You got offense, special teams, defense. 2 out of 3 brand new hires. We'll start with the big one, the defensive coordinator was the linebackers coach at Rutgers, and we hired him, Corey Heatherman, or Heatherman, we're not exactly sure. I haven't heard anyone talk about him over here yet, so I don't know the pronunciation, but we'll go with, I like Heatherman. Probably Heatherman. But anyway, uh, you know, similar to Rossi style, I believe he's from the 4-2-5 style. He's got defensive coordinator experience at the FCS level. Was also, I think he also spent some time at James Madison. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Um, no, I. This is all I really have to say, and I'll let you guys talk about it because I don't know much about him other than what other people have said. Um, this is from Alec Kruthamel. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, Alec. He's our buddy over at What's Choppin', uh, Rutgers podcast here that you can find through Big Banner. When the news broke that we hired Corey, uh, he said this: massive loss for Rutgers. The work Heatherman did in just 2 seasons to rebuild a linebacker room that was a major weakness into 3 top contributors in the Big Ten cannot be overstated. So to me, that gets me excited because I love Joe Rossi, and this might sound like a bitter point now that he's left, but I always felt like under him, our linebacking core was, for the most part, the weak link on the defense if you had to point to one. Not that they were always bad, but this past year in particular, and just more of the recruiting misses that this staff has had have been at the linebacker core. So if this guy has shown already maybe a track record of turning that around at schools he's been at, I think that's a chance at improvement that maybe we could see. I'm not saying, I don't know if he'll be better than Joe Rossi. That's a tall task overall, I feel. But that is something I think Gopher fans can be excited about, especially just, more than anything, we've covered in previous episodes the recruiting misses we've had with, either like guys like Braylon Oliver transferring out and then won't name names, but guys we brought in not really panning out into who we thought they would be, or just guys that took a long time to kind of get up to speed. Marcel Marin, really good linebacker by the time his final year happened, but like took him a while. So maybe this new coach can get them up to speed a little bit quicker than what we've seen. But time will tell. Spencer, thoughts on the new defensive coordinator hire?
I think it's a great hire, Kurt. Kind of looking at what he's been through throughout his career. He was at James Madison, like you said, from 2019 to 2021, and they were elite defenses each of those years that he was there. They were top 10 nationally in defense, rushing defense, and scoring defense in all 3 seasons. He was also at Maine, it looks like, and he was there for 3 years as well. 17th ranked nationally in total defense, first in rushing defense, and 30th in scoring defense. So it seems like this guy can really stop the run, which we know in the Big Ten is a pretty big deal. Though now that it's kind of changing a little bit this upcoming season, we'll definitely need to see a little bit more from the passing defense. But as we'll touch on in a little bit, I think that our secondary will have a lot of guys that are going to be able to hopefully step up. But it looks like a great hire. It's going to be his opportunity to really be an FBS in the Big Ten, really show what he can do. But like you said, our partner over at Rutgers is saying that it's a big loss for him, but maybe it's a great hire for us. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do.
Yeah, it definitely seems like at every level, he's had success and he's had success quickly coming into some programs that weren't necessarily the most successful, even at the FCS level, and kind of turning around quickly. And then, like you said, Kurt, when he was at Rutgers, it was one of the most inexperienced linebacker groups. And then you just saw last year, they're one of the better teams against the run, even in the Big Ten. So that's a positive. I know not being necessarily the defensive coordinator at Rutgers, it'll be interesting to see kind of what his defensive play calling style is, since we probably didn't see much of that in recent
Yeah.
history. But since he has the background as a D coordinator, even if it's at the FCS level, that's still high level football, and he obviously knows his stuff, and PJ is going to trust him. And I think, coming from a linebacker position coach probably makes the most sense to transition into defensive coordinator too. It's kind of like a QB coach or kind of a offensive analyst coming into that offensive coordinator type role. So I'm not too worried about the transition from him in terms of role. He's kind of risen through the ranks pretty quickly, which I feel like
Yeah.
speaks pretty highly of his success. And hopefully he stays for a long time and can continue what Joe Rossi had going.
Yeah. I guess that would be the drawback if there was any. Just that he wasn't necessarily calling plays at Rutgers, but even though he does have DC experience as we pointed out, but it's tough to tell out there because Shiano's the defensive guy, and I think he's got a heavy you know input on what's happening there defensively anyway. So I will say at the initial announcement, I've come around since, but I was a little disappointed only because, and it's all my own fault. Ryan Burns, 247 writer for the Gophers, had answered a reply on Twitter about when can we expect a defensive coordinator hire. He said I'd guess shortly after on January 7th or 8th, whenever the national championship game was. So my brain instantly flipped to, oh, are we hiring like an upper comer like linebacking coach or co-defensive coordinator off like Michigan or Wash, two of the teams that were in the Natty. So my mind went to like a little bit bigger, like, wow, is he really like going for someone like, big, but um so that was my only initial disappointment. It was all, this hire made a lot of sense. Looks good on paper. I will say it needs to be a good one. I think this year, I think PJ's feeling the pressure, and that's part of the reason he turned to like, not that he knows this guy super well already, but he turned to familiarity again and running the same system that he's used to. He's from the same tree that Joe Rossi, Shiano, we're all under. So makes a lot of sense why PJ went this way. And I sounds like we're all optimistic, and it always makes you feel good as a fan when the other team's fan base is, a little bit sad about losing him as a coach. So yeah, expecting good things there. Special teams coordinator, we're not alone. A lot of Gopher fans were beating the drum to get a new one. And now, for the first time in PJ's tenure here at the University of Minnesota, we do. Special teams coordinator Bob Ligashevsky, I think that's how you pronounce it, coming over from Syracuse. Syracuse fired their staff this year, so I believe he had spent the last 2 years there. He's got 38 years of experience in total, including 15 years at the NFL level. Um, yeah, I don't know. Syracuse special teams, if you just look at statistically, looked fine. They're in the middle. They look pretty average. So that's improvement over what we had. I think it's smart that PJ got somebody with a lot of experience because I think it was clear there wasn't a whole lot of thought into what was actually going on that side of the ball. So, I don't know how much I can actually speculate on this. Just you hope it's better. It's something we're trying new. I'll let you guys jump in here, but it can't be worse. I mean, we were really pretty much at the bottom for most of the former guys' tenure here. So, anything you guys want to add on that?
Hit the nail on the head. It can't be much worse. And yeah, a guy with a lot of experience and NFL experience. I mean, just if he can touch or teach some new technique or whatever it is, I don't know anything about kicking or punting, but If he can add
Yeah.
1 or 2% of an improvement, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've been waiting for this probably since the start of PJ Fleck's career here, to be honest. Special teams has been a non factor. And this guy, in his first year, there was a kickoff return unit that ranked third nationally, 26.1 yards per return, and they also one of their guys at Syracuse finished second in the ACC and 23rd nationally combined kick return average and ranked top 20 in punt return average. Now, I know that's a lot with the athletes, but when you're Minnesota, who doesn't really return anything, any sort of schemes or development in the special teams area that can get you some yardage, that can get you good field position, is good in my book. So very happy with this hire. I'm glad that this is a change. I am a little confused though. I know this is maybe veering a little bit. This guy steps down. He's like, Wagner. He's like, you know what? I'm going to resign and step down.
Oh, I think that's the polite way to phrase what happened.
Well,
I think he
yeah,
was asked it.
but here's, of course, that's definitely probably what happened. But why now? Like, why?
Well,
Why did this happen just
I
now?
got you.
We've seen this for years. He should have been gone for now. But now they're like, you know what, man? We'll
It's
give
time.
you the opportunity to kind of step away.
Well, I
You
think
know?
it's PJ feeling the pressure. If to answer your question, I think PJ's feeling the pressure of I gotta, forget. Even without the new conference alignment schedule getting tougher, like I think this last year to PJ and the athletic director was seen as not good enough with the pieces you had, and so I think he's. I mean, your D coordinator left, which makes it tough, but bringing in someone you're familiar with and then also changing the special teams, I feel like PJ's feeling the pressure to put a pretty good product out on the field this year. Um, I mean, completely
Good.
overhauling your QB room. It just signs like stuff like that. I mean, I feel like he's feeling a little bit of heat. Not saying he'll be fired. I would be. I can't say shocked, but like I think he's got to do something this year to show that it's still working for him. Otherwise, I think he could be in some trouble. But um, anyway, those are the new hires. It's funny because last show we talked about all these portal guys that we got, and like half of them at least aren't even still committed to us or with the team. So I thought right now we would just kind of do a quick run through. Obviously, we don't know who's going to start, but we'll just do a run through and early projection of what we're working with here. Because, like we said, it's a big year for PJ. So let's just start on offense. How about I'll walk you guys through this. Add in any thoughts you guys got. Okay, so right now, quarterback room. You brought in Max Brosmer out of New Hampshire, right? New Hampshire, I believe. He's
Yep.
clearly your day one starter. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. The dude had options, was rated as a 4-star in the transfer portal. He's your guy. You can pretty much pencil him in as a starter. Drake Lindsay now, the guy who enrolled early and is on campus now, but just finished high school early. He's your only other scholarship quarterback on the roster with our Fresno State dude decommitting and choosing to play FCS ball. And then you have the walk on still, Max Shikachansky. Yeah, I don't know if that was pronounced right. But so thin there, but you have the guy you wanted for your starter and your future guy right there. So not terrible. About the spot you were in this past year, at least you thought you were in this past year, but hopefully better results. Definitely would like to add somebody from the portal still at the quarterback position. It's going to be tough because usually quarterbacks want to go somewhere they're going to play. But yeah, we'll see what happens because it opens back up in spring ball. All right, so those are your quarterbacks. We good with that? Anything you guys want to add there?
Yeah,
No.
just don't really know what
All
to
right.
expect. I guess we never had this many
Right.
new faces.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like a tan. I know that obviously Brosmer hasn't been here, but it's kind of like a Tanner to Athan kind of deal. You know what I mean? You got this
Kind of.
seasoned vet that has a lot of experience. It's kind of going to
Right.
finish it off, and then hand the keys over to this up and coming guy that can hopefully take the reins and maybe
Yeah,
be even a step above by the time he's a senior. So I like the situation at the quarterback position.
yeah. Depth a little thin, but I agree with you. All right, running back Darius Taylor, pretty much unquestioned number one. I'm gonna butcher the names. I'm sorry. It's Sieh. Does Sai Ben Grua, the transfer from Ohio? A lot of experience. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. I think he'll probably be number two. And then we also got Marcus Major, who's got a 1 year left out of Oklahoma. Some playing time there, not a lot, but I'm guessing those will be your top three. And then you got Jordan Newbin probably as your Bryce Williams type probably this year as the third down blocking back and getting some carries in there. But and then you also have two freshmen coming in this class at the running back position as well. Um, and I believe at least one of them, if not both, are enrolled early as well, so they could see the field depending on how things go. But I'm guessing PJ would like to keep the red shirt. So I'm feeling pretty good with picking up two transfer running backs and holding on to them. I know we picked up a couple and they have both dipped, but uh, having these guys on campus now and having them, I'm feeling pretty good about the depth this year. We've had bad injury luck there in the past, but I think this looks pretty solid. Receiver room. So we lose Corey Crooms. You lose, you know, Ottman Bell, even though we didn't have him a ton this year. But you got Daniel Jackson, who's probably your unquestioned. He is your unquestioned number one. Lemeke Brockington's back. Elijah Spencer's back. You brought in transfers Christian Driver, son of Donald Driver, the Packers receiver. He's out of Penn State. You have Jalen Varner, who was a Division II receiver who put up massive yards. You brought him in. And then you still have the young guys, Lanier, who got to play in the bowl game, who was a freshman, a redshirt freshman that PJ really liked and said he earned bowl reps. And then you still have Kristen Hoskins, who PJ said, I believe a year and a half ago now, or last spring ball, was the most explosive player with the ball in his hand. So I would love to see him get out there in some capacity. Um, that's six deep right there. So if you can keep them all on the roster through spring ball and no one enters the portal, there's some maybe unprovenness there, but I feel pretty good about that receiver room. Anything you guys want to add there? You guys feel pretty good about that?
Yeah, I like the depth. It'll be interesting to
Yeah,
see if Spencer can kind of hold on to that third spot, or if either of these transfers will
right.
kind of take it over.
Well, it'd be great to have them established because I don't know the actual physical like height and weight of these other transfer guys, but Elijah's built like an outside guy. So if he was able to establish himself, you have Jackson and Elijah on the outside, and then Lemeke working the slot probably, or moving Jackson into the slot at times as well, and having Spencer take the X routes. I think that would be really big. So that'd be
Yeah.
nice to see.
There's a guy, I think um, he signed with the Gophers. His name's Dallas Sims. I mean, he's 6'2", 195. Hopefully, eventually, he's going to be one of the top guys. He caught 24 passes for 429 for 100 and four touchdowns as a junior, and then as a senior this past year, 430 yards, 24 receptions, three touchdowns. 3-star recruit. Hopefully, one day he'll
Yeah,
make it happen. Um, a lot of athletes, it seems like, in the receiving side of the ball. So I'm just hoping that we kind of spread the love a little bit,
yeah,
not be so one dimensional. We'll kind of see what happens.
yeah. And I believe Nick Callerup's back, so he'll probably be your main blocking
Yeah.
starting tight end. I know we don't throw him to him a lot, and he's more of the blocking guy, but still got Jamison Gears, who they've been excited about. I'm guessing those would be your top two, and then they got some other guys on the roster here. I don't know how much they'll play. I usually don't get super hyped about tight ends because I feel like they always hype them up, and we don't always get the most out of them. It seems like, but the two freshmen they brought in, the one out of Indiana and the one out of Iowa, they're getting talked about really highly, or we're getting talked about really highly by like the 247 recruiting guys, like outside of Burns and just the Minnesota people, as just being tremendous athletes in general. So if those guys could just sit a year and develop and just become like actual receiving threats again from the tight end position, that would be phenomenal. So I am excited about the young guys that we have coming in that group, and I think there's enough veteran experience there to at least do what we're going to do. I'm sure we're still going to be mainly run heavy, and so I trust Caller up and Gears to uh, you know, take over that role. And plus, I think I'm more comfortable saying that now that it's like we just experienced basically having no tight end receiving threat in span four. Not as well, I don't know whose fault it was, but it wasn't used. We have a new tight ends coach. That's the other one. We hired a offensive analysis. I don't have his name here, but he's the new tight ends coach. Um, so clearly they weren't happy with the guy and what he was doing with Spanford in his final year, which is a bummer because clearly they don't think it was a talent issue. So, and we don't either. But anyway, I feel really good about the quarterback and the actual weapons part of this. Shifting to the offensive line, you got Urshey back at left tackle. You have Cooper back at guard, who was probably your best guard when healthy last year. Center is who you lost. I'm not sure who they're gonna put in there, but he's your only. That's the only spot you don't have Phil. Like, can Greg Johnson bump over?
That's what I've
Like,
been seeing that they're probably going to do since he has
okay,
experience on the interior side of the line and he's so young that they're like, why
right,
not just slide
yeah.
him in?
So I think that makes a lot of sense. And then you allow Martez Lewis to stay at right guard where he was playing towards the end of the year, and then you have one more year of Quinn Carroll out there at the right tackle. So yeah, you lost your center, and it's not always the easiest spot to replace. But you're bringing back five guys who played a lot of football last year at the same time. So and tackles with a lot of playing experience, and Cooper with a lot of experience. So that's promising to me. And they have, being that these guys are as old as they are, you have a lot of depth behind them and guys that they like behind them too. I mean, um, the Roy kid that they brought in this past recruiting class, he's like the fifth highest recruit ever, fifth highest rated recruit ever in Minnesota history, and he's got potential to play earlier on in his career. I don't know if it'll be this year, but that's encouraging. We got Carroll's brother, I believe, too, didn't we? I think we got Carroll's brother. Maybe they're not related. We have another Carroll. I thought they were related, but he committed in this class as well. So um, the depth is there for the future, and I like where it's at right now. So offense is looking good. Um, and I want to talk about this for a second, just because you're bringing so much back if you're PJ on the offensive side, as far as your weapons go and your O line. You basically declared that it was a quarterback issue by, I mean, it's a brand new quarterback room. You're sticking with your same offensive coordinators, both of them. And yeah, I think we're going to find out a lot. And I think if it fails again, especially now that Ethan's at Rutgers, and if he develops at all and like looks pretty good there at all, I think it puts immense pressure that PJ missed again in a coordinator hire, and that the offense is going to have issues. But like the nice thing for the Gophers, if with Ethan at Rutgers, I tweeted this out at the time, you get to find out. I think it lets you find out the full story on, okay, can our coaches really not develop these guys? Because it was Shiraki here before where we had the great 2019 offense and yada yada yada. Now with Ethan moving on to another Power Five school with Shiraka, and you moving on and bringing in a highly touted transfer quarterback, you kind of get, I want to say the best of both worlds, but you get to find out here what the issue was of this past year and why nothing really worked out the way you were hoping for. Anything else you guys had on that? I feel like I'm talking at you guys a lot.
No, that's a good point because yeah, all the other variables stay the same. You have a strong offensive line, which I to kind of go back to the offensive line for a second. I don't know why I thought we were losing more guys, and I was looking at
Me
the projected
too.
depth chart, and it was like no him, no him. Like this is great, this is awesome. Why was I
Yeah.
so worried about it?
Well, because the guards were all inexperienced but
Yeah,
older guys, and in my head, I think I forgot about the extra year of eligibility or something. But
right.
Yeah.
yeah, I was in the same boat. I thought they were all gone. But
Yeah,
Yeah. And with that said, I expect, and with the return of Darius Taylor and numerous other backs that seem pretty athletic, I don't think that the running game will drop off at all. In fact, I think it'll be even better than it was before. And
yeah,
that's great because it starts up front. I think ultimately this offense is going to be okay, assuming we can spread the ball out a little bit from running the ball to passing the ball. And it'll be really telling, like you said, Kurt, if it's a coaching thing or if it was just kind of a situational thing last year. I think we'll have to see it, internally with who we have, at quarterback and receivers, and what Athan's doing over at Rutgers. So uh, it'll be interesting to kind of see how everything unfolds.
Yeah.
My question about the offensive coordinator is, like you said, if we see that Brosmer has potential and is talented and it just doesn't pan out for whatever reason, and it becomes clear that it is a coaching or coordinator issue, would you want PJ to pull the plug right away and look to a new offensive coordinator, or would you rather wait because now that we have Lindsey, would you don't want him to lose the coaches and the coordinators that he was recruited
Right.
to come play for. It kind of puts you in a weird spot there.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think if you come out and have zero passing offense again this year, you got to move on because he's had two
Yeah.
quarterbacks to work with. Um, Two guys that both had a lot of potential or talent. I know he didn't develop this current quarterback that we have, Brosmer, but yeah, you got to move on. I mean, you can give him the season because you're not going to find anyone to come in mid-season, but yeah, you got to move on and just hope that you can recruit Lindsey to stay because, and if you're PJ, you have to because you're not going to survive keeping him and just rolling this out
Right.
here. Like it's one thing to be Iowa with Iowa's offense, but have Kirk Ferentz's wins. Like yeah, he's going to get to do whatever he wants. Like it take us pretty much all the time he needs. PJ doesn't have that luxury. Like PJ doesn't win the games he's supposed sorry, he doesn't win as many games as he's supposed to win, like Ferentz does, or it just doesn't have the track record. Like no one wins as much as Ferentz for the most part. That's at
I mean,
these
look at
level.
it
That's
last year.
yeah,
That dude was winning by an average of 4 points every game in a
right,
sloppy West. He still won and made it to the Big Ten West Championship.
yeah,
I mean, he
right.
wins
I
ball games.
right. I wasn't trying to make it sound as much of a slight at PJ, but he doesn't have as much flexibility as Ferentz to wait. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
you absolutely have to move on if it doesn't work this year. I don't know if you want to add anything else, Spencer.
Yeah, I think you have to, but like you said, Kurt, definitely for PJ's sake. I mean, if they're not doing anything, you have to move on. But let's get something going. Like, let's not be one dimensional. I think if you want to really keep your job, if running the football is working every time, great. Go ahead and pound it. Do whatever you got to do. But in these bigger games, every game this year, frankly, is going to be a big game. You're playing, a much tougher schedule this year. I think with all
Yeah,
these teams that are coming in. Um, Throw the ball on a first down. It doesn't need to be a Hail Mary play, but get a slant going. Second and
yeah,
a second down after a run. Throw the ball. Let's just get some more in there, it gets a little more diverse in the play
yeah.
calling. And you know what? If the play doesn't work because of the talent you have, that's just whatever.
And
You
it's
can't
still
do
on
anything
you.
about that.
Yeah,
It is still on you, but let's at least see you fail because of what you thought was going to work, not
right.
just not showing anything because
I mean, we
you're too scared,
yeah, we really got one look at the new offense that we were supposed
Yeah.
to have last year in the Nebraska game. We won, and then we never saw it again
We
the
never
rest of
saw
the
it
year.
again. It
Yeah.
disappeared for no reason either. It disappeared.
Well, that's what I feel like. It's not. I don't know. It could be, but I feel like it's less about like it didn't work. It was more just PJ didn't trust it. He
Yeah,
got too scared by throwing it 40 times.
yeah,
He's got to
I
change his best.
You would
yeah.
think.
I just think with how we played offense, I know the old line kind of was a subject of a lot of outside of quarterback. Like I feel like the old line caught a lot of criticism, but like when you're going run pass all game, like that's so hard for the O line to like consistently move loaded boxes. Like I felt like everyone knew what we were gonna do the whole time. So I don't know. I didn't think the O
Yeah.
line was as bad as some people, I guess, that I
No.
just kind of see comment online. So, but you know, eh, yeah, we'll talk. You know what? We'll save that. We'll save that as an episode. That'll be one of our episodes this off season. We're gonna try and do them at least every 2 weeks here for you guys. I want to do just like easier said than done, but like fan made, like fan fixes for the offense, just simple things that you could mix in more often that would help. You know, as a fan, at least how we feel about it. But anyway, that'll be a later episode. Let's transition just to the defense really quick because I just want to point out how many people we brought back. Like, there's a lot of room. There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about this team. Your one side of your defensive ends: Jaw Joyner, Jalen Logan Redding, both back, both great players,
Huge.
both get rotated in. On the opposite side of them, you got your Russians. You got Danny Strigo. I don't have it now. Does anyone have the transfer end we brought in? Transfer D lineman. Oh wait, he ended
Uh,
up.
I was gonna say there was one that decommitted, but I
Yeah,
think
he
I don't
decommitted.
think we have any other commits, but I know we've offered a couple more D linemen
Okay,
too,
yeah.
so
which I'm sure it'll all be different by the
It,
time.
Yeah,
the
Danny Strigo out
Chanhassen
there.
guy, Sam Macy,
Yeah, he's a
he,
freshman.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
I
freshman.
don't know if
I
he'll
don't
play
know
right
how
away.
he'll do, but yeah.
I should have had the transfers in front of me. That's my mistake, fellas. Anyway, but three DNs at least right there. And I know there's another guy here. While you guys are talking, I'll find it. But let's move to the inside. Kyler Bob is like one guy you lose on the inside. You still got Luther McCoy there. You still got Devin Eastern in there. Darnell Jeffries sounds like he's coming back for another year. I believe he's getting a medical red shirt. It sounds like, or at least hope they assume he'll get one. So three stellar guys back in the middle. Um, and then you have some young guys as well that are ready to go that we have not seen yet. That redshirted this past year that they were high on. So I feel pretty good about the starters there. The depth is going to be, like always, the depth is a tough thing with the D line at this. When you're not Ohio State, Georgia, or whatever, and don't just reload every year when you lose guys, it's tough to establish the depth. But overall, I feel like the D line, when your top four guys are out there, it should probably be about as good as it was last year. I feel like, I don't know if you guys feel differently than that statement. Kyler Ball was a good player, and it'll hurt not having him, but hopefully Jeffries can kind of step in and fill that void a little bit.
Yeah. I think it'll be great. This defensive line was the best I've seen probably in the PJ Fleck era, I think. Um, it was pretty awesome, and returning this many guys, although under a different defensive coordinator helm, I think it'll be really nice to see. And hey, who knows? Maybe we'll be a little more aggressive. Maybe this guy,
Yeah,
you know, will Heatherman, whatever. Um,
yeah.
maybe he'll like to blitz a lot more. Maybe he'll take more risks. That'd be something I'd love to see. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to see what this defensive line has, especially with the experience that they have.
Theron Randall and Martin Ousu were the two guys we have not seen yet. Those were the two I was trying to think of that were in the defensive interior. But
Where they come from? Do you know? Do you have that?
Ousu, I believe, is from Minnesota. I think he's from like Eastridge or Woodbury. No, that
Okay,
was Eastern, I think. But anyway, he's from Minnesota. I think he'll be a redshirt sophomore. I think now. But yeah, he was like a borderline 4-star guy when he committed to us, I believe. So, um,
nice.
yeah, no, they should be okay there. Linebacker, they haven't brought in anybody, I believe, as far as
Biggest worry.
all linebacker. Mine too, because we
Yeah,
saw what it was. Hopefully a full year of a healthy Cody Lindenberg will help. But I mean, linebackers are in a lot of physical play, so we'll see there. Um, I'm assuming it's going to be Lindenberg and uh, Devin Williams, right? Is it Devin Williams? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm guessing those will be your two when there's the two out there, and then with Maverick getting rotated in there as well. I actually liked what we saw out of him a lot. I mean, he was just getting his feet wet out there, but he would go out and hit guys. So he showed some physicality that we didn't really have out there at all times. So having those three is solid. It's just
But that's it.
yeah, and then the two walk on guys that got some experience this year. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I really don't know. And the one commit left for Michigan State with Rossi, but we did keep the Minnesota kid who some had rated higher anyway. And that dude loves football. PJ says that's all he said about him. He'd make snowmen shirtless and tackle him in his yard. I believe that's a story told for the young man. I don't remember his name, but he's a true freshman year. So I would say we probably wouldn't see him. But given what just happened this past year, who knows? He might be out there week one against North Carolina because we have 50 injuries again on the defense. So linebacker gets a little thin for me, but you got Wally now. He's your one corner. You brought in the transfer from was it Bucknell? Who's this guy? Where's this guy from again?
yeah,
Yeah,
Robinson.
Bucknell transfer. Yeah, Ethan Robinson. Got a lot of experience on the outside. He had some nice offers as well. So I'm guessing you can pencil those two as your probable starters on the outside. You still got Tyreek Watson and Saquon Bryan to mix in there as well behind those guys. And we brought in that transfer from TCU as well, who's got some experience, mainly special teams, but he's played some corner and some safety as well. So another versatile guy to mix in there. So I think the corner spot I feel pretty good about, especially because I liked what I saw to the young freshmen when they got in. Um, Safety, you're losing Newbin. That's tough to replace. But with that being said, you still have Bryson Coleman, who didn't have necessarily the best year, but got a lot of experience. You got Darius Green, who's got a lot of experience now, and Aiden Gooseby, who they were super high on. So those three, with the addition of Coy Perich, Perch.
I think it's
Anyway,
Perry.
Parrish, who just won, by the way, the whatever All American Bowl MVP on I think it was NBC. But anyway, so him mixing, I don't know if he'll get in right away, but you have a lot of guys who have been here for a long time that the Rossi was and PJ still is excited about the talent that these guys have. You retained your D backs coach, so I'm hoping he can get them in line. We had a lot of blown coverages over the top, even with Newbin. So, not saying it can't get worse. It definitely can. But I feel okay. Safety, we'll see. They've been here long enough where I feel like they should be capable starters in the Big Ten for the talent that they, were rated at and what they've shown. I feel like we'll be okay there. Oh, and don't forget nickel. Jack Henderson's back, and I believe Craig McDonald's back as well. He's got another year of eligibility, and I didn't see him. I didn't see anything say he was leaving, so I'm assuming he's still there. But
I didn't know Henderson was back. That's,
yes,
I mean,
yep,
getting our
Jack.
leading tackler back. That's nice to learn right now.
Yeah, no, those are all
Okay,
those are all
I feel
solid
better.
dudes. So you got guys to work with, is what I'm trying to say here. And
Yeah,
um, yeah, I just think the landscape's changing, and I know a lot of fans get excited about that, rightfully so, or nervous, also rightfully so. But I just think that this year, given what PJ just put out and the changes he's made, I think regardless of what's happening college football landscape wise, that this is huge, just for the reasons we laid out, just of who they got coming back, the two new coordinators, and you got to win. I mean, you got to probably win still 6 games to not be embarrassed, and 7 games to kind of be able to be like, all right, won 7 games in the new Big Ten. You know what I mean? And that's a tough schedule. Like you're starting off with North Carolina next year, and I mean, we can get all into all that later. That's not for this pod, but yeah. Early record predictions? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Oh boy.
But yeah. Anyway, So that's where we stand, folks. I just wanted to give you a quick layout of the roster. We covered the new coordinators. We're going to be back to putting out more content more consistently. We are brought to you by Big Banner. And yeah, send us ideas of what you want to talk about because I could talk about anything Go for football with these guys. I know these guys could. And we just don't always know if it's what everyone else wants to hear. So if you have any ideas, let us know. I do like that one of what changes we would like to see or fixes we would implement into the offense. I think we'll probably do that next episode re-release. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Please, I meant to do this at the start. Leave a 5-star review if you haven't on Apple or Spotify, whatever you listen to us. It helps with the algorithm. Go ahead and leave us a comment. You can tell me I look ugly. That's cool. Also, check us out on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Comment on that. Tell us you didn't like what we said. You don't like the sound of our voices. Tell us you know better. We like those too. And check us out on Twitter or X at SkyUPod and SkyUPod1. SkyUPod1. At SkyUPod1. And yeah, feel free to check out Big Banner Sports. And we will see you next time, fellas.